Hi, I'm Doug Eldridge, and this is DLE vlog number 2 for DLEmedia.com. A couple hours ago I left the set with Dexter Manley on Dexter's new show, Dexter's Rush Hour. And I was excited to be there because for any of those of you who are out there that are from the DC area, you know Dexter Manley's a legend, both for his on-the-field accomplishments and for the controversy that followed him off the field. Dexter's an outstanding human being, and I wish him the best on his show. Some of the things that we talked about today were centered around agent conduct, or rather agent misconduct, and the business of the sports business. More importantly, how agents fit into that. And I had the opportunity to be on set with Dex for literally a couple hours. Most of you know that most of that will hit the cutting room floor, and you'll see a couple of minutes. But it was a great process, and throughout that we got to talk about some very current and very relevant things. Namely, conduct among sports agents. Any of you that cracks a newspaper or ESPN.com, gets BlackBerry updates, you understand that we've got a real problem. Whether it was Des Bryant last year at Oklahoma State, having his remaining college eligibility revoked for contact with Deion Sanders, who was perceived to be a runner, or whether it's just last week, Reggie Bush voluntarily giving over the Heisman Trophy for fear that it was going to be stripped anyway. Both of these controversies centered around contact, inappropriate contact with a sports agent or someone posing as an agent. This is a real issue confronting college sports because at the center of collegiate athletics is the notion of amateurism. And as I said to Dexter today, and as I tell all my clients, the first word in the title professional athlete is professional. That's not only a code of conduct and an expectation of how you're supposed to comport yourself, but it also means that you're being paid for your talents and your services. That's not the case at the collegiate level. And the NCAA, as well as the NFLPA, the NBPA, and all of the labor unions who license agents in all of the major sports, create structure and protocol which governs the means by which agents are legally able to contact athletes. Unfortunately, as with any industry, there are those that subvert the rules. And unfortunately, some of those actions of these shady agents and their runners have come to light, and they've cost the athletes, as well as the academic institutions, handily. Whether it's USC being on probation, Bush having to give back the Heisman, or Des Bryant having to forego what could have been an ultimately a top 5 draft pick position by not being able to play any more college football. The bottom line is whatever the end result, the root problem in all of these scenarios is the same, and that is improper conduct by agents. As you saw, we're in the nation's capital. That's where the DLE agency was born and is based. And ironically, in the same situation, the federal government a couple of years ago addressed the agent issue. In 2004, the Senate passed and the President signed into law SPARTA, Sports Agents Responsibility and Trust Act, which was basically a system of guidelines and rules that were supposed to govern the means by which agents and athletes interacted. And more importantly, the disclosures and notifications and protocols that agents were required to provide not only to the athletes, but also to the institutions. Around that same time, the UAAA was passed, which is the Uniform Athlete Agent Act, which is a state-by-state governing and registration process for the maintenance and monitoring of sports agents. Unfortunately, both of these laws are effectively toothless laws, meaning they're difficult, if possible at all, to enforce. The only source of discipline, the only sense of adjudicating these infractions by agents is through the union. The NFLPA has made great strides in the context of improving agent relations, improving the structure by which agents are certified, number one, governed, number two, and do their best in conjunction with the NCAA to protect the interests of these amateur athletes. But when it comes to SPARTA and the UAAA, it's effectively an unenforceable mechanism up to this point. Earlier this week, the State Attorney General for North Carolina met with a couple UNC players who were accused of going down to Miami for a big party which was funded by an agent, something which is prima facie illegal as far as agents go, because we're not supposed to provide anything of value in the courtship process for potential clients. It's impermissible. Well, several agents did that, and the context of UAAA means that each of the states has the option to implement the law and the option to create its own sense of penalties, licensures, and fees associated with it. Of the 50 states, only 40 have adopted any form, as well as the District of Columbia, of the UAAA. 3 have their own manifestation of it, and 7 have no form of governance at all, which means in large part agent infractions have gone unnoticed and unpenalized, at least in the sense of agents being subjected to more stringent standards. Me? I'm in favor of a one-strike rule, and I think a lot of other agents out there that are doing it right will be as well. But this is only the tip of the iceberg, and most assuredly the first of what I imagine will be several entries on the topic. Because whether Dez, or the UNC football players, or Reggie Bush bravely giving the Heisman back, this issue, we're just starting to see the peak. And whether it comes back to the legislators on Capitol Hill to come up with an answer, or whether it's the NCAA meeting in conjunction with the professional unions, something's got to happen, because at the end of the day, there are no winners and losers. There are only losers. The academic institution, the athletes, the agents, and the fans that are no longer able to see their favorite player or their favorite team compete to their capacity. So this is Doug Eldridge signing off for DLE vlog number 2. Please be sure to check back with us. I promise we'll be more regular with our updates, and I look forward to seeing you soon at DLE Media, a new subsidiary of the DLE agency.